What do you think is a quality that women look for in men?
Where is my fig book? I think my list is expanded after I met you. What's the difference between confidence and arrogance?
Arrogance stems from ego. Your level of presence determines how attractive you're going to be. When somebody's present and they're truly paying attention to you, they're really listening to you, you can tell, and it's extremely charming.
Interesting. And now I will have a bit provocative question.
I'll take that. Elvira, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
I mean, it was easy to organize this because we live together. Welcome to the Mind's Eye Status podcast. And I have a lot of people asking me about our relationship. And I mean, it's a little bit hard to be private when you're a famous influencer.
This was scaring me too.
However, what I've noticed is people tend to get inspired, actually. I often hear it on client calls and consultation calls, and especially from women, actually, but even men, they seem to be inspired. And I thought, you know what? Why not have a conversation and talk about relationships and see if there's any questions that you had, because you ask really good questions. If you had any questions about us, about me as well, that might be beneficial to our audience. So thank you for being here.
Yeah. I remember how many comments we got under the last video on YouTube where you told like why a man should be married, and you told a lot of facts what inspired a lot of men too. So I think it's really nice that we met today to talk about it.
Yeah, indeed. So I made a video about why men should lead women and how men should lead women, actually, and it just went viral, right? It had almost 300,000 views with thousands of comments of people arguing with one another and basically challenging me and hating on me, because you might remember what I said in that video was very simple. I said, what women want in a relationship is a man to lead them with strength, with gentleness, and with their heart, to lead with their heart, not from a tyrannical place, which is something that you obviously agree with,
Yes.
right? And a lot of feminine women agree with that as well. But in the comments, I had so many people saying, how do you know what women want? First of all, which is not a good argument. And they were saying women don't want to be led, etc. And they were assuming that I'm a misogynist. They were assuming that I don't believe women have equal rights or value, which is so far from the truth, because I believe that men and women are equal in value, but not equal in responsibility. I don't expect you to lead me. I'm going to lead us. When we move to Dubai, I don't expect you to organize everything. I'm going to organize everything, right? When it comes to buying a property or planning our lives, we're going to collaborate. I'm going to ask you for your input. You're going to help me. You're going to support me, but I don't expect you to have that burden of a responsibility. And when you say that on social media to the general public, you're going to get a lot of hate. But that's the reality. That's why so many people are getting divorces. That's why so many relationships look upside down. And I'm glad that you're a feminine woman, because for a man like me who is very ambitious, as you know, who's striving to build a business to help millions of people across the world and hundreds of clients actively, I need somebody who's going to be there supporting without challenging, without giving me headaches. And I think that's what a lot of men are looking for as well. What do you think?
To be honest, I think that I start to see benefits of traditional relationships only like when I started to meet with you. Before I didn't pay a lot of attention on it, but then the more I got closer to you and we came to different stage of our relationships, I started to see like why before relationship was most stronger, why family was more like together, because men always led the families, and why now it's a lot of hate about this topic, because just in social media so many people talking about it, and different people, they just lost in different strategies, different opinions, and it's why this topic getting a lot of hate, especially when men talking about it. And I remember how many women told something like about this, that they not agree with you in the comments, and even to look how they told it, with which tonality, with which words they use. Yes, language. It was very aggressive when they trying to force somebody to think differently, and it's not like a feminine communication. Even with your eyes, you can see that something broken. Yes.
That's so true. The women who were supportive in that video that I posted of us, they looked very beautiful and feminine and elegant and soft. But the women that were arguing with me and hating and using that foul language, all of them looked miserable, usually older, and most of them looked single as well from their Instagram profiles. But so it's interesting because femininity is a beautiful thing, and it's not weakness. It's allowing yourself to be soft and radiant. Men can't be soft and radiant. Well, they can. I'm not going to say they can't, but it doesn't look good, right? And it doesn't do us well. If I try to go out in the world and be soft and radiant, I'm going to get stomped all over, to be honest. Whereas if you do that, you get taken care of and you end up being happier and more pleasant. But anyway, I want to talk about communication with you, because something that stood out to me when we first met was how curious you were about me and about my line of work as well. And most people aren't good communicators. Most people don't ask good questions, but I noticed with you, you were very good at asking questions. So for the audience, what questions do you have about communication that you can ask me?
I'm great as a woman coach for femininity. I'm getting a lot of questions from women who in business, who in Dubai in real estate, is very popular here. How to balance between female and male communication on work. Like a lot of women having troubles with that. So I think maybe it will be really helpful if you will answer this question.
How can men and women communicate at work?
Yeah, how women, I think, like how women to communicate at work in a feminine way.
That's a good question. You know what? I actually get this question a lot from women. I haven't made a video about it, but how can women communicate in the workplace while remaining feminine, but also gaining respect, let's say? Because you don't want to lose respect. And work culture typically is a very masculine thing. It's masculine energy because you're driving, you're problem solving, you're using your head quite a lot. You're not in your heart, you're not in your emotions. So for a woman, the advice that I would have would be to communicate from your heart, to be feminine. Don't allow yourself to develop a masculine shell because it's going to make you unhappy. But at the same time, draw boundaries when you need to. I'm very careful with teaching people how to draw boundaries, but I think women in the workplace need to learn how to draw boundaries. For example, women get flirted with a lot in the workplace. A lot. I've seen it. Now, as a woman, you need to draw boundaries with your sub-communication. So, for example, if you notice a male companion makes a comment which is inappropriate, don't smile and giggle and laugh, especially if you're not into it. If you're into it, whatever, you do you. But if you're not into it, don't smile, don't agree with it. Don't allow them to get away with these comments. So don't approve of it with your body language. If it's very explicit or if they do it again, then I would directly say that's inappropriate. Say it. Don't be afraid of saying it. Most women, I feel like they hold back of saying it because they don't want to come across as a bitch. But in reality, you need to protect yourself in the workplace as well. One thing that I really respected from certain women in the workplace was the ones that were married or in relationships. You can tell that they're married or they're in a relationship. You can just tell because they're not overly friendly with you compared to a lot of the single women. And when you sense that in the workplace, and me, I'm a very bubbly, charismatic kind of guy. I'm very friendly, as you know. And previously, when I was in workplaces, if I was that friendly with even these women, even without flirting with them, I would notice that they would be a little bit cold, not masculine, just a very distinguished feminine energy. And I could tell they were in a relationship, so they wouldn't open themselves up to the men in the office. And to me, that's highly respectable. And a lot of the men in the office would respect that kind of woman as well.
Interesting, because I remember I told you the same thing when we came to Dubai and I started to meet with a lot of different women. I started to see this really big difference between married and not married women. That's a lot of times not married women, how you say, they're trying to look friendly, they're trying to look nicer, while married women, they're just more present, they're not trying to become likable or to trying to make impression on somebody. And I think it is really affecting on connection with people as well. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Your level of presence determines how attractive you're going to be. If somebody is constantly in their head thinking about how they can prove themselves and how they're being perceived, they're just worrying about what other people think, this removes presence. And you can feel when somebody's present in front of you, right?
Yes.
You can tell, like, in the eyes, there's a spark. When somebody's present and they're truly paying attention to you, they're really listening to you, you can tell, and it's extremely charming. What most people do is they talk and they converse, and they're not really listening. They're just waiting for their turn to talk. And that takes away from presence. It takes away from the connection that you have with somebody. So I completely agree with you.
Yes, and I think that's what really developed in myself. I noticed after I started to live with you and I hear a lot of your content, what you're making, what you're talking about clients, is how you are observing. Like you wouldn't notice people presence or their body language or are they trying to be likable before you start to be a super observer. And I think it's making a lot of change. When you're not focusing on yourself, but you, how you said before, curious about a different person, and it's making such a different image of you. What do you think?
Yeah, I appreciate you pointing that out. And I didn't really think about it as one of my strengths until you mentioned it. And it makes total sense. As a communication coach, I notice how people are feeling. I notice their body language. I pay attention to their eye contact, to their tone of voice, to the emotion behind their communication. And when I can pay attention to somebody that deeply, it allows me to communicate to them at their level, which is why it's so easy to build rapport with somebody when you understand how to truly listen, when you observe. People can feel seen. If you can allow somebody to feel seen, they're going to like you. They're going to love you. That's how you build a magnetic presence. But on the flip side, the people that don't like being seen, because they're not being authentic, they will feel exposed and they will end up not liking you. They will end up seeing you as a threat as well. But you can also notice that. You'll notice it by noticing the difference between what they're saying and what their body language is saying as well. So being able to read people is extremely effective. And it's a skill that I think everybody should learn.
Yeah, and what you say is that then they will feel exposed, they wouldn't like you. And for you, it's only like a good sign that you wouldn't waste any time on this person in the future.
Exactly.
About observing people, yesterday I just, for the first time in my life, I tried some new thing in a restaurant while I was waiting for my order, and I want to know your opinion as well. Usually when I'm sitting in a restaurant, I'm doing something. But this time I just turn off my phone, and for 20 minutes while I'm waiting my salad, I just start to observe people, like what they do, how they talk, their like small actions, they mimic, how they're talking to like waiter. And for me, it just was something switched in my head, and just understand what the small things making image of you, and you don't even notice it in a day-to-day life because it's just so into you that you're doing every day. What do you think about how to handle yourself to look confident in any time, in any circumstances, in any like
Good question.
life moments?
Yeah, I'm glad the people watching is rubbing off on you. That's what you were doing. You were people watching. How you carry yourself communicates who you are. It communicates your value as well, which is why if you start walking with more elegance if you're a woman, or more confidence and gusto if you're a man, if you start walking with this energy, people are going to make a judgment about you. People judge you within the first 3 seconds of them seeing you. I think it's even less than that. Very quickly, people judge you. We like to believe that we're not judgmental, but the reality is we're extremely judgmental. The moment you see somebody, you're going to decide who they are, whether you like them or not, and the impression that they're giving you. So how you hold yourself is extremely important. Your body language, the way that you dress, your eye contact, your handshake, how firm is it? How elegant is it? Your gestures, the little things. Thanking somebody for arriving on time, for example. The little things that people miss, if you mention it, asking for somebody's name. Anytime I come into the studio, for example, I ask for the cameraman's name. I want to know who it is. I want to know you're a human being. It's the little things like that, right? That people pay attention to. And it makes a big difference. I don't think people take their reputation seriously enough. You have to be very aware, very conscious of the reputation that you have, because it's your walking billboard. The way that you carry yourself, it shows people how you feel on the inside. It's a reflection of your inner world. So you must carry yourself intentionally.
Yes, and you know what you reminded me about? That, for example, high value woman, she will pay attention even on a first date in your small actions, small gestures. And for example, what you also said about being authentic, I think a lot of people, it makes a big difference when, for example, you are always confident, you're always like not disrespectful, because what impresses me in you that I will just never saw that you're stressing, that you're like out of control, that you are disrespecting somebody, even when you, for example, not agree. You always respect people, you're always curious about them, you're always trying to maintain this, like, how to say, maintain
composure.
Stability, emotional distance, and I think in a long distance, long-term relationships, I think it's very important to develop your everyday small,
that
small
state,
things.
that calmness, that groundedness.
Yes,
I appreciate that. Thank you, my love, for sharing that. And I agree with you, especially as a man. It's extremely important to have your emotions in check, to be grounded, to not be swayed by external factors, because that shows that you're not in control. It shows that you're not certain, that you're not confident in your abilities. And that makes you, my woman, anxious as well. I remember on our first date, you forgot your charger at a cafe that we met at, and you panicked a little bit because your phone was about to run out of charge. And I told you, I said, don't worry, we'll get another charger for you and we'll call the cafe in the morning. Immediately, you relaxed. That was the first problem we ran into together.
Yeah.
And immediately I saw you relax. You felt comfortable, you felt safe, you felt taken care of. So as a man, I think it's extremely important to have the confidence that you'll handle things, especially when they go wrong.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. It's a trait of confidence. It's a trait of a high value man as well. The ability to trust yourself in any situation. In any situation, whether things are going well or not well. I'm going to trust that I'll I have the ability, I have the skill set, the mindset, the self-trust more than anything to handle it.
I like that you say named it as trust yourself. Interesting. And I think what helped you to stay stable and confident in any situations what happening to us, that you trained it before. Like you don't need to wait until something went wrong, going wrong. You can develop the skills and this mindset before, like just in your day-to-day life. For example, what you're saying to your clients, like you will spend just 1 hour per week to take part in the program, like your Diamond Eye program, because you're just implementing everything into life.
That's right.
Yeah, it's why Zen is just, it's who you are in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. Everything is practice for the big game. There's a reason why 2 years ago, when I would be waiting for the bus, I would start a conversation with the old lady next to me. There's a reason why when I saw somebody wearing an interesting suit 4 years ago, I would compliment him on his suit. Because everything is practice. All of that gave me the confidence to approach you in a cafe when we first met.
So you trained on an old lady for years ago.
I trained on an old lady for years so I could meet you. And how we met is probably a story I'll share another time because it's pretty interesting. I'm not sure if I'm comfortable sharing that yet with the audience. However, I approached you in public, like in a cafe, and that takes confidence. When I talk to clients now, my clients are executives for large companies that everybody's heard of. I have the confidence to talk to them, to teach them, to ask them to pay me so I can teach them skills and information. And I have the confidence to do that because of years of training my communication skills in everyday little scenarios. And that's what I tell clients as well. Not only clients, anybody who's looking to improve their communication skills, every day, every conversation you have, whether it's when you're ordering coffee or buying your groceries, every interaction stacks up. You're developing your skill set for communication. Do not underestimate the value of those baby steps in improving your communication one step at a time. For example, if you go to the gym, walk in the gym with confidence, have your shoulders back, have your chest out. Between sets, walk around with that swagger. Who cares? You're listening to music. Feel cool. Look cool. Do it. You're training your nervous system to be open, your body language to be open. And by the way, people are attracted to that. They're drawn to that. I can't tell you how many times I've made friends in the gym between sets just because I'm walking around with confidence. Not arrogance, just confidence, self-confidence. People can smell it on you.
What's the difference between confidence and arrogance?
Good question. Arrogance stems from ego, whereas confidence, true confidence, stems from inner self-trust, inner acceptance of oneself, and taking self-responsibility as well. Whereas arrogance is somebody saying, I made $1 million, therefore I'm better than you. Arrogance compares itself to everybody else, whereas confidence doesn't compare itself. Confidence is curious about other people. It's accepting of other people and accepting of oneself. That's the difference.
And I also love what you said about baby steps and not underestimating the small actions, but because I was reminding myself like where I am today now, this is a result of my actions, what I did 3 years ago, like 4 years ago. And I think it what motivates me to do something different today. So in the future, I will have different results.
That's right.
Yeah, and I always impressed by how easily you starting conversations with just random people. And I think it is like also why you're so comfortable in Dubai, even from like a second week, 1 month, we're not long here, but you already have like a huge, not a small circle at all. Like and the people with who you wanted to connect before, you dreamt about to connect before. How you do it?
How do I meet new people? I'm very proactive about it. There's a few ways that I go about meeting new people in a city. Firstly, I take advantage of the network that I have on social media. And by the way, you can do this with a small following as well, a small number of friends on Facebook or Instagram. I reach out to people who are in the city. Hey, I'm in Dubai. Love what you're doing. Let's grab a coffee. I've done that a few times. Secondly, I post my own interesting life. When we go out to nice restaurants, to dinner, to jazz bars and cafes, things like this, I post that on my story. People who are living in the same city, they see the story, they see I'm doing interesting things, they like it, they reply to it, they're more open to spending time with somebody interesting. So have an interesting life if you want to meet people. Next, I go to events. I go to business events. I go to networking events. And at those events, I meet people, I exchange contact information, I become friends with them, and I follow up with them. I've done that so many times. And those people, not all of them, some of them become very, very good friends. And thirdly, I meet people when I'm out and about. Sometimes when I'm at a cafe or if I'm in an interesting place, I might start a conversation with somebody that's next to me and I'll connect with them on Instagram or WhatsApp. So I'm very proactive, as you can see. I go to communities, I go to events, I connect with people on social media, I talk to people when I'm out. And by the way, it might sound like a lot, but it's really not. As you said before, you're just communicating every day anyway. When I'm at a cafe, if I see somebody next to me reading an interesting book, I might ask them, how's that book going? What would you rate it out of 10? Just a random conversation.
Yeah.
The other day, literally we connected with somebody in our apartment. He came into the elevator same time as us, and I saw him come out of a Porsche. If you're watching this, Oscar, shout out. and I just asked him if that was his Porsche. He said, yeah. It turns out he's a race car driver. We connected on WhatsApp, and now that's a contact that I have, and we can kick it off. So just being proactive in my everyday life and on social media, that helps me meet people.
Interesting. And now I will have a bit provocative question, maybe for some people who are watching us.
Okay.
A lot of people saying under your reels and even different people reels, like you are handsome, it is easy to say to you, or you have 1 million followers, it's easy to tell you, or some people message me on YouTube, you are beautiful, it's easy to tell you. Like, what to do with that?
It's so funny when somebody comments saying it's easy for you to do when you're handsome.
Yeah.
I find that so funny because I don't consider myself handsome, to be honest. I swear to God. I'm 168 centimeters. I don't know what that is in feet, but I'm a short guy. I'm not a tall guy. People say I'm too short. I mean, I'm bold. I'm short. I'm not the obvious aesthetic of what an attractive man looks like. That's what I think. I know I look masculine. I have that going for me.
Scary.
I look scary. Okay. I dress nice. I know that as well. But I choose to dress nice. This isn't genetics. Being well groomed is not genetics. Being well groomed, I like to make sure my beard is in shape. Things like this. But to be honest, even that aside, that's just a freaking excuse, man. Mm-hmm. If you're gonna say that you're not successful in relationships, in work, in life, because you're ugly, it's not because you're ugly. It's because you're using a pathetic excuse of your looks. Especially as a man. You're going to tell me that you're worried about your looks? Get the hell out of here. That is the most vain feminine thing I've ever heard. It's a feminine quality to be vain because women rely on their looks to attract a partner. That's just the truth of it. Men don't rely on their looks to attract a partner. Men need confidence, they need drive, they need vision. So as a man, if you're going to say that I'm not successful in life, in relationships because of my looks, that's just a pathetic excuse. And you need to take a look at your values, your inner world, and your internal confidence, which has nothing to do with your looks.
How can you, as a man, increase this internal confidence?
You're giving really good questions. This isn't scripted, guys. These are just great questions. As a man, how can you improve your internal confidence? I'll answer for a couple of things. So, firstly, challenge yourself. And the reason I say challenge yourself is because when you put yourself in challenging situations that force you to trust yourself, going back to self-trust, that builds that muscle of self-trust. And the more you trust yourself, the more confident you're going to feel. So focus on developing that inner confidence. Another one is develop self-acceptance. accept the fact that you're 168 centimeters. Accept the fact that you can't change certain things about yourself. Accept the fact that maybe you're broke. Maybe you don't get the kind of respect that you desire. When you accept these things, you can go into phase 3, which is self-responsibility. Take responsibility for it. Change your situation. Improve your communication skills. Follow Shakati Lakman on Instagram. Start journaling. Start working out. Start spending time with successful people. Go network. Try to meet people. Mess up. Fail forward. Keep going. Be proactive. I don't understand how somebody can stay the same, but that's just how my brain works. Seek constant improvement. Seek discomfort. You don't have to go all David Goggins on yourself and run 5-10 miles every single day to do this. Step out of your comfort zone. Take an ice bath. I'm nothing against ice baths, but you don't have to do these things to step out of your comfort zone. You can, as I said, start a conversation with the barista. Step out of your comfort zone. Go to the gym. Go to a class. Go to a boxing class. Anything that is a baby step out of your comfort zone, when you do it, it's going to increase your confidence. And also, final point to increase your confidence, this is probably one of my biggest strengths, to be honest, it's improve your self-awareness. Just become ruthlessly objective with your flaws, with your ego. Notice when your ego, your insecurities are getting in the way. That way you can work towards it. That way you can improve and become more confident.
Mm-hmm. One more thing what I thought about before many times, but I never asked you it. And all this today question I'm asking just because I'm really curious about it.
Yeah, good.
So about networking, about meeting new people, I started to see it a lot only when we came to Dubai, because before we lived in Asia and it wasn't much people to network. And we just moved a lot of times. But here I noticed interesting thing that very often if people trying to make like new contacts or start conversation, they have the fear of rejection, like maybe unconsciously. Yeah? Unconsciously. And they unintentionally choosing people who who they not scared of, for example, or they not
easy situation.
Yes, who lower, for example, status, or who, I don't know, like all this type of things. But what I noticed on you is that you choosing to talk to people who, for example, you want to be. Like, for example, if you want to, I don't know, expand your business in a global, level, you're talking to people who already did it. If you want different achievements, you talking to people who already have it. And you need some kind of, I don't know what, but tell us how you do it.
Yeah, you need to realize that high status people are human beings just like you. And the way that I've managed to develop friends who are extremely successful, wealthy, and powerful, especially since moving here to Dubai, is because I treat them like human beings. I'm telling you, most people put everybody on a pedestal. Whereas when I meet these interesting people, I know that they're humans. I know that they like to laugh, that they have emotions. And I value humor. You know this. I value humor and authenticity. So I'm just going to be myself. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to make jokes. I'm going to be curious about them, and curious about them authentically as well. When you meet somebody who's of high status, who has a lot of attention, and you're not seeking anything from them, you're just present with them, and you're curious about them, and you're being yourself at the same time, that's a breath of fresh air for them. That's extremely refreshing for somebody who's super popular. And you'll find that the more authentic you are, you'll attract these types, first of all. And secondly, how do you know you want to attract them anyway? What I mean by that is, if you follow somebody on social media, for example, that you want to be friends with, how do you really know that you're going to like them in real life? You've already made a judgment assuming that you're going to like them. Mm-hmm. How about you give people a chance to see if you won't like them? Right?
Yeah.
People don't think about that. People, all they're thinking about is, I wonder if I'll be liked. I say flip it. Wonder if you're going to like them. Not in a judgmental way. Just see, is this somebody that I will resonate with or not? If it's not, you don't need to judge them. You just don't need to spend time with them. And if you approach an interaction with this attitude of, I wonder if I will like them, rather than I wonder if they will like me, that changes the dynamic, and it allows you to relax as well. It allows you to become friends with people who are super, super interesting, and they appreciate it as well.
And
Sorry to interrupt. Could you pass me the water? I think it's next to you. Thanks.
you can continue.
Yeah.
I think it is working amazing for women and man dynamics as well. When, for example, you're on a date or you're looking now for relationships, or even you're already in relationships and you want to bring more joy and pleasure in it. I think it's when you're not coming to relationships or to date with a lack of something, and the person feel it. Because, for example, when we met, maybe I was lack of something. Maybe I wanted more safety or more care or more love in my life. But I didn't see you as a source. I didn't talk to you as a source. I just wanted to give you. Yeah. And yeah, I loved what you said.
I'm glad. Thank you. And what do you think, as an attractive, high-value woman, which you are, what do you think is a quality that women look for in men when they're meeting them for the first time?
Where is my fig book?
Your book.
Fig book. I need to put it to the table.
You have a big list.
I think my list is expanded after I met you.
I'll take that.
I think it is, first of all, it is super strong internal stability and not looking for external validation. I think it's just what's making me crazy.
Yeah.
Just by nature, if I very often think about like our ancestors, how they lived. And for example, like a man was protector, a woman always was in danger. Like at any time in a cave can come, I don't know, like a white tiger or a lion. And nothing changed now. Like we still have these like hormones, these patterns of thinking, patterns of feeling. And I think it is why sometimes women become like in this shell, how you say it in the start, just because they want to feel protected. And if they don't have this protection from outside the world, they will become like that. And I think that man and woman are reflection of each other in relationships. And if, for example, you are a man, you already have a woman, and you're like not really satisfied with the relationship, think about what you don't like and just become a man. Change yourself. And it's working for women absolutely same time, and it's the same way. And if you know the relationship, like create a list what you want to see in your future partner, and just work on yourself. Think about what type of man you need to be to attract that type of woman. Yeah, so I can't give many qualities, because for everybody is the same. Just to create a list what you need, and you will find a solution what you need to improve for yourself. And you just will find your partner very quickly. What happened to me, because when I met you, I didn't like search and look and try to find somebody. I just was enjoying myself.
Yeah.
And even when you're in a relationship, I think it is good to focus on yourself and
Absolutely.
don't have this lack of something.
Yeah, I think that's one advantage that helped us early in our relationship. You were very focused on your personal development and your self-care, and you still are. And I was as well. I had my own routines. I remember when you realized that I was Muslim for the first time, and I mean, like vice versa, and you saw that I was praying 5 times a day, and you just respected it.
Yeah.
Immediately, you respected that I had that I had my meditation routines, that I was reading books, and that I had this lifestyle that I've built for myself. I noticed that about you as well, and it made you more interesting. Noticing that there are books that you like to read, there's different programs that you've attended, and you have these self-care routines. You love going to get your massages, your nails done, your hair done, things like this. Except for your hair, you take care of your own hair, which is fabulous, if I may say so. Shout out to my wife's hair. Mashallah. And when two individuals have an independent lifestyle with independent interests, it just makes life so much more interesting as well. I mean, think about it. Look at you. You're sitting in a podcast studio with me. It's not your podcast, like it's your husband's podcast, but you're here and you're doing something interesting, right? And when we go out, a few weeks ago, we went to the opera. That wasn't my idea. That was your idea. And that was one of your interests. And that was one of the funnest things I've ever done in terms of entertainment. So when you're dating or married to somebody who has their own interest, it just makes everything so much more interesting and fun as well. What advice would you have for women who want to increase their feminine radiance?
And just one. I think it is same what I shared the story in the start conversation. Like I observed yesterday a lot of women, just to pay attention on your small actions, on your body language, how you're carrying yourself in a room. Yeah, what's your how you're walking, how you're smiling, this relaxed smile, and just to study more, because it is so much things in the books. For example, I start to study these subjects from 15, and I'm so grateful for my mom, for my aunts. They just bring me a lot of different trainings of self-development, feminine energy. And if you currently not satisfied, for example, with something you have, and you're not doing anything, it's just because you don't want to see resources what next to you. When you really want something, you will see everywhere just opportunities to change it. Just be open-minded. And for me, I have one mantra like that. I know that I don't know anything. What helping me to really see new things in the world. And I think it is exactly what really boosting my path to achieving goals.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, I think you're being very humble, because you have all these routines that I see you do as well. Your daily gratitude, your cooking, your painting. There's a lot of things that you do to nurture yourself, and it's beautiful. It shows that you're a woman that definitely cares for herself. I think we'll wrap it there. Did you have any final comments or questions that you wanted to share?
No?
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us on the Mind's Eye Status podcast. I'm not going to promote your Instagram because I'm highly protected. Guys, if you have any questions that you want me to redirect to Elvira, please put it in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're watching on if you're listening on Spotify, rate it 5 stars. It takes 10 seconds. Thank you so much for joining, baby.
Thank you.